From China's dubious plans in the sea, we turn to a more responsible naval power, India. The Indian Navy is expanding its partnerships. They will hold drills next month. We're talking about large-scale exercises and for the first time, only with African nations. They're calling it the Africa-India Key Maritime Initiative, or AKAM for short. In Sanskrit, AKAM means unity. It is part of India's military outreach in the Indian Ocean region. India is already considered the first responder, also the preferred security partner for East Africa. The drills next month will only deepen that understanding. This is the inaugural edition of this exercise. It will take place off the coast of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will inaugurate it. At least 11 countries are participating this time, including India, co-hosts Tanzania, Comoros, Djibouti, Eritrea, Kenya, Madagascar, Mauritius, Mozambique, Seychelles and South Africa. Like I said, this is the maiden edition of AKAM. The exercise will be held every 2 years and more African partners will be invited in the years ahead.
This again is a first of its kind exercise for the Indian Navy and for India. It will be co-hosted by the Indian Navy and the Tanzania People Defence Force and will also witness participation from 10 African countries from the east coast of Africa. As on date, we are likely to have 7 ships from our African partners and friends, with observers also joining in. So, AKAM is a Sanskrit word, means unity, and it aims to bring regional countries together towards a common goal of maritime security and growth in the region, because in the end, we are all united through the oceans.
The Indian Navy's goal is clear: increasing interoperability with African allies and deepening security cooperation in the region. India is already working closely with many African partners. Like Mauritius, India has access to their bases and close ties with Mauritius. Prime Minister Modi, in fact, was in Port Louis earlier this month. That's the capital of Mauritius. It was a 2-day visit focused on boosting bilateral ties. Then we have Madagascar. India has a listening post there. It monitors all maritime traffic in the region. Nations like the US, France and Germany and many others have bases in the Horn of Africa and Djibouti, mostly for anti-piracy operations. But India is the only country that has bases along the East African coast. And here's why this is important. New Delhi is committed to tackling regional threats. Threats such as piracy, illegal trafficking, unregulated fishing and unreported research missions. And China is behind at least 2 of these threats. Their fishing boats and their spy ships often visit the Indian Ocean. The Chinese call them research vessels, but their purpose is clear to the world. They spy for Beijing, and they frequently operate off the East African coast. Several countries in this region have raised concerns. For instance, last year, Mozambique protested against Chinese trawlers. Their navy tracked more than 130 Chinese fishing boats off their coast. 130. What were they doing there? Being fishy, as usual. The Chinese have been overfishing in their waters for decades. Now their trawlers operate beyond China's maritime borders. And here's what Beijing does. It sends a mob of fishing boats near foreign waters. These boats fish unchecked, and they deplete local fish populations. All because China cannot stop over-consuming. It is basically stealing the resources of other countries. And in recent years, Africa has been at the receiving end of this. Chinese trawlers have been reported near many countries in Africa, in Kenya, Somalia, Mozambique, Ghana, Senegal, and Nigeria. And what are these countries doing about the illegal Chinese presence? A lot of them are turning to India. They see New Delhi as an ally and a democratic maritime power, a power that won't engage in suspicious ocean activity. Nor will India send fishing militias to deplete Africa's resources. The AKAM exercise is just the first step. Africa is sending a message to China. The tide now belongs to India.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
No, I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India. What we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria.
Exactly.
Bluntly, Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.